Our presentation today is focusing on moving the Jayhawkville Unified School District forward in ELA. Our curriculum team is made up of Cami, who has experience in 1st and 4th grade, Pat, who has experience in 6th through 8th grade, and Kimberly, who has experience in high school. So just briefly, the strengths that we found for our school district lie very much so in the community, especially because there's so much diversity. And the understanding through diversity, ELA lends itself very easily to personal perspective, personal interpretation, and having the amount of diversity will give students the opportunity to experience different perspective in a safe space such as the classroom, and they should be able to express themselves how they see fit, and they would be able to start to build that identity that we hope that they do because we're looking at educating the whole child. We also have a strong school leadership across the board. Everyone is willing to change. They are very open to having the conversation with their staff and faculty as well as the community in how can we improve our school district for the benefit of our students. Some weaknesses though, one of the greatest one is the rookie versus veteran teachers. So there is a fairly high teacher turnover rate that needs to be addressed. Effective teaching relies on relationships with students, knowing what students are interested in. That way we can get some of that engagement, we can get them really invested in their learning. But with so many new teachers, that's difficult to build that foundation of relationships. It's not impossible, but it's definitely a challenge that we needed to consider as we were working towards this curriculum reform. Another weakness is that there are some inconsistent graduation rates across the high school. Some of them are very high performing, some of them not so much, and as well our adequate yearly progress is hardly met. So we need to focus on how we can get our schools moving forward. But there is some great opportunity in that the school administration is open to the conversation. So we should be able to expand professional learning communities, have the conversations on a district level, and be more open to collaboration. And thus we should be able to build bridges with the community and welcome more of that diversity, more of that experience, and give students more access and more ownership of their learning. So, in essence, by focusing on our strengths through collaboration, implementing an ELA K-12 curriculum will lead to student growth. So we anticipate a 3-year implementation process. We will take the time the first year to collaborate to build an ELA philosophy and rationale and to build our district cohesiveness, which is the timeline that we're showing on this slide. So we would take the time to build the committee, we would draft the philosophy and the rationale, and then we would open it up to have a school-wide conversation in April, finalize the draft, and send it to the board for approval. And in the second year, we'll have the opportunity to focus on what learning outcomes we expect from our students. How will we know if they have met the standards, and how our current materials and instructional practices support student learning. So we still want to give teachers some independence, so having July and August to develop their goals and the objectives that they see are the most important, and then come to school in September and have a school-wide review of them, open that conversation, come to some common ground, and move forward into developing the common assessments. And the common assessments are critical here for data analysis reasons. January, moving forward into evaluating the materials. This is where the equip tool can come in, and based on the evaluation of the materials and the common assessments, we can develop the specific learning tasks and instructional practices and then send that again to the board for approval. And in our third year, teachers will implement the ELA curriculum and continue to collaborate on materials, common assessments, and instructional practices. Obviously, there's going to be a need for new materials, so we would need to purchase those, but then we would also need training to be able to use those materials and practices effectively, excuse me, and then we should be able to administer the common assessments throughout the year in our own classrooms, individual teaching styles, so as to not take the fun out of teaching, but then be able to continue to evaluate the materials and how they correlate to the curriculum, continue to have those conversations, develop the learning tasks and the practices that support our curriculum, and be able to review, reflect, and plan for the next year. So, in the beginning, once the ELA program community is formed, it'll be formed by bringing together 2 ELA teachers per grade level, 1 principal from each grade level of schools, and us as curriculum designers, we can begin by writing a philosophy statement and rationale. So, using existing mission statements from across the school district, such as the one shown on this slide, this can help build a unified ELA philosophy and rationale through collaboration. This step is vital in bringing cohesion for a common vision for ELA in a district of our size. The Kansas Common Core standards will guide us as we set those high standards for all of our students and establish the scope and sequence of our ELA curriculum K through 12. Not only will our schools align with each other, but they will align to schools statewide as well. And so to help all students reach high standards, educators need to be asked of what level of performance is required for mastery, and we can look for that in the standards, and we can use those standards as our guide. So the standards are expected, they are expected learning outcomes and are not written in order of instruction. By organizing the standards into a teachable scope and sequence, the standards will start to become a curriculum. So the standards can be sorted, they can be organized into that sequence, but they still leave some personal interpretation for the teacher to teach to as they see fit. So program goals will need to be set around the Kansas Common Core standards and the anchored standards, which highlight complex abilities and performances that students should master for college and for workplace readiness. The program objectives are written from the overarching understandings of the standards. And finally, the program learning outcomes are the essential questions to help students make meaning and deepen their understandings. And this is where we can bring in the community and we can start to really build those bridges. So another critical piece is to develop authentic learning tasks. We want to be able to build those bridges between the community and the school district and their post-education, post-high school goals. And it's just, there's been a lot of research done that learning by doing is generally considered the most effective way to learn. So the more that students are invested in their education, the more that they'll get out of it and the more progress that we will see. But in order to see the progress, there needs to be assessments. So these are the different assessments that we see fit for our district. They can be teacher-specific formative assessments. That way we're still letting teachers teach how they feel is right and how they feel is best, but we still have the district-mandated common assessment, which keep everyone on an equal playing field. We'll analyze the data, we'll create the RTI opportunities, and of course we'll still have the standardized assessments. But in order to make sure that things do stay on the equal playing field, the material alignment can be done and evaluated by the equip rubric and tool. And using that rubric, educators can collaborate to evaluate the current teaching materials. They'll discover which current materials are exemplary and which could be improved to become exemplary. Gaps may also be discovered where new materials are needed, and this will also help continue the conversation of what are the best practices, what are the best materials for our students right now in this time. And the key component to a curriculum is sound instructional practices. Instructional practices can be focused on during PLC meetings or through mentoring or peer coaching. Quality instructional practices should include differentiated instruction, critical thinking, and problem-solving opportunities. With effective teaching, written curriculum comes to life as the taught curriculum to provide quality learning experiences for all students. So we really do value the teaching moments, being able to bring in individual learning styles and reach all of our students. The data sources. So by analyzing data from assessments, our district will be in a continuous reflective process to continue to strengthen student learning. And this will also help keep the conversation going. It'll help keep the conversation open, and it will still encourage collaboration from all levels, from all teachers, and from all grade levels. So by focusing our ELA curriculum on the standards, our teachers, community administrators, and our board can collaborate to create more opportunities for growth for the children of Jayhawkville.